So I call the Board of Zoning Appeal meeting to order, the February 1st, 2020. And we start out by pledge of allegiance. Please stand.
I pledge
Pledge allegiance
to the flag,
United States of
America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with
with liberty and
justice
justice
for all.
for all. Perfect. I guess we need to, to approve the agenda?
Yeah, do roll call.
Roll call.
Oh, roll call.
Mr.
Oh, there's, yep, roll calls there. Okay, roll call next.
Mr. Fowler? Ms. Harlow?
Here.
Mr. Havel?
Here.
Mr. Horvath?
Here.
Mr. Wolf?
Here.
Took me forever.
Okay, Byron, you made it too late.
I can handle that.
You can take over or I'll continue.
Feel free.
Okay. I guess we need to vote on approving the agenda.
Absolutely.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Oh, I'm
Second.
sorry, that didn't do that right.
No, you did it right. It's fine.
I guess, does I second that?
Second.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. For those people that are going to testify tonight, do you swear to tell the truth in your testimony tonight? And that should be yes. Jeff and whatever, I guess. Have we got anybody else besides?
Yes.
Jeff and Lori, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Then I guess we'll hear from Byron, BZA case 2021-01.
Okay, let's see, I'm gonna share my screen and we'll get started. All right, if everybody can see this, this is the property here. You can see the house and then the lot goes over to this private driveway. It's zoned A residence surrounded by single family homes. The couple of pictures of the property, so you can see the existing house here. And then this is the location where the variance is being requested. This is case BZA 2021-01. It is a request for a variance for a detached accessory structure with more height than permitted. It's for a pool house proposed in the backyard of this house. The pool house will be 19 feet and 5 inches tall, but only 450 square feet. So it's a fairly small structure, but it has a very tall roof. And that's kind of the point of this picture, trying to show the pitch of the roof that they're trying to match with the pool house, I believe. They can confirm that when they get a chance to speak, but I believe that's the point of the variance request. So I'm going to stop sharing this for a second. I do have a graphic of the actual, let's see, the actual plan, which you all should have a copy of. So this is the existing house, and I apologize, it's it's not the greatest copy that I'm using, but you should all have a large version of this. So this is the back of the existing house. They're proposing a new pool deck, a new in-ground pool, a fire pit structure here, and then the pool house over in this area. And this is the outline of the pool house. It's 10 feet from the property line. So it complies with all the setbacks. It's in the location where it's permitted. It's behind the rear corner of the house, so it's considered to be in the rear yard. This is not a corner lot because the driveway that goes off to the side is not the one that they use for access, so they've only got one frontage. So the Graphics that you have a copy of also include some elevations. So you can see that you've got the siding and the roof. You can see the pitch of the roof that they're trying to match with the other structure. And then midpoint of the gable on this is 19 feet, 5 inches, and that's the subject of the variance. So there are no real findings related to the materials or the setback or the structure itself other than the height. I'm going to go back to the staff report vicinity map so we can look at that again, just to take a look at the vicinity. So this is where the pool house would be located. Just kind of in the side yard of this very large house here. And then there are single family houses around it, but there are woods over here. So the pool house really won't have an impact on anybody on this side of the property. On this side of the property, the pool house would be blocked by some other vegetation and this deck that's in the back corner of their existing property. So the only person that would potentially be impacted would be this person. But obviously this is the side, this isn't the rear of the house or their pool or any of the portions of the property which are more used. And the staff report also has findings that point out that this is a 450 square foot structure that detached accessory structures are allowed to be up to 1,032 square feet. So this structure could be twice as big as it is. And if it was 12 and a half feet and 1,032, it could be up to 5 feet from the property line. So it could be a larger structure closer to the property line and meet the zoning requirements. This is smaller than permitted and further away from the property line, but it is taller. It's 7 foot variance that they'd be requesting for this height. There aren't any other similar variances. The staff report did point out that this house here used to be on a large property that included the subject property and several others. That was part of a previous variance request, but that was related to the use of this barn, not related to the actual house, and came before the house was constructed, so it doesn't apply. This is a variance based on practical difficulties and not hardship, and the standards for those are on page 2 of your staff report. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to try and answer them.
Oh, Brian, you said that we're 7 foot over what the code allows?
Yeah, the code allows 12 and a half feet, and this is 19 feet, 5 inches, so almost 7 feet, a little bit under
Okay.
7 feet.
Brian, could you go to sheet A1, which is the elevations? And I'm looking at the front west elevation.
Let me see. And if I could see the sheet numbers, that would be good, but I can't.
Yeah, you're on it. You're on it. It's the upper right-hand corner. It says front west elevation. That's the front and west. Yeah. Go down. I want to see what height it actually says the building is. Hold on, I can't.
It's very slowly going down there, but it's 10 feet something to here.
Right,
So
and
that's a normal story.
it says, what did it say, 19.3 over here? On
Yeah.
the right-hand side?
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad you brought that up because 19 feet, 5 inches is the maximum height, but it's actually not that tall.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's what I was getting at, that it's
Yeah, that wasn't
really,
measured to the midpoint of the gable.
right.
Trying to see if we had a note on how tall it actually is.
So if that's what we're saying, it was.
10 and 19, so in between the two is 14 and a half feet, so it's a 2 foot variance. I apologize.
Yeah, I'm looking at a 2 foot 4, a 2
Yeah.
foot 4.5 inch variance.
That's right, yes, 2 foot 5 inches. Very good, thank you for pointing that out. This should say 14 feet 5, not 19 feet.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure we're talking the same thing.
Yes,
So you're saying, Brian, that the top is not 19 feet, it's only 14 feet?
no, the top is 19. The way that height is measured is to the midpoint of a gabled roof.
Of
So
midpoint of a gable.
yeah, so it's 10 and 19, so in between is 4.5, so it's 14 and a half feet.
So if this thing was 17.5, it would be fine.
Yes, right. They would need to knock 2 feet off the top. Yeah.
And the pitch is a 10 by 2. Is that what it says here?
10 by 12.
Or 10 by 12?
It's a 10 and 12.
A 10 by
10 and
12.
Yeah.
Okay, so from a construction standpoint, is there sufficient space in terms of the footprint of the building to get a lower height gable and still have a structurally accepted run to rise?
Yeah, you could make it work. They would be able to reduce the steepness of the roof and get it to work at its existing footprint. It just wouldn't match the house.
I mean, you could go as low as 4 and 12 without worrying about water, if you really.
4 and 12, okay.
lowering it.
So there is a practical and structurally sound way to meet the intent of the resolution and not compromise the structure of the building. It may not be what they want. Is that the way to look at it?
Yes, that's correct.
And about how far away is this building from the house?
To the south?
No, okay, I guess look
Oh,
at it
their
this
house?
way. I'm not sure what the pitches are on the rest of the hips, but you mentioned that you thought they were trying to match one particular roof dimension, but it looked like that was on one side of the house and this building's going to be on the other side of the house.
That's
Is that
correct.
correct?
Yes.
From the layout? So there's no practical expectation that the two roofs would have the same pitch.
Well, that's up to you.
Well, but what I'm saying is you can't see the two roofs at the same time unless you're probably 40 yards across the street, right? Look at the layout, the plot plan of the landscape.
Yeah, no, they're on opposite sides of the backyard. That's true.
So it's not like you were putting the two buildings side by side and would see one has a 10 by 12 and the other one has an 8 by 12. If the other one's an 8 by 12 to meet code and it's on the far left of the yard and this one's on the right, it would be hard to tell the difference. I'm asking you because you've probably seen the place. I haven't. I'm just looking at the diagrams you sent us.
No, I've just seen the pictures also. And I mean, I'm not an architect. I'm sure that somebody would argue that you could, stand in the backyard and look at the two and notice that they're different.
Go back to the house. Can you
I'm not sure that I would really care,
scroll
personally.
back to the house. I want to take a look at the
house.
Can you please scroll back to the house pictures?
Good picture.
Yes, it takes a second though.
What I'm getting at is every one of these peaks appears to have slightly different variation in their pitches. Okay, and what you're suggesting we'll have to hear from the owner, is that they're trying to match the one on the far right. And what I'm saying is if you had a building on the far left that had a slightly different pitch, so what? Look at all the different pitches and peaks in the house as it is today. I mean, it sounds like a nice to do to me without hearing the evidence, but I can't see where that would be compelling at this point based on what I saw from the picture of their house. Is that a reasonable assessment, Brian?
I mean, that is completely up to you to decide.
Okay.
I mean, there isn't a zoning requirement for pitches of roofs. There's nothing in the zoning code that says it. There's nothing unique about the property that would set it apart from others, other than, that they have a lot of woods and a lot of space to the side of the property where they're talking about putting the pool house, so it would have less of an impact. But As far as, whether the desire to match pitches is enough to warrant granting a variance, that's completely up to the board to decide.
Okay, but that is the issue.
Yes, that's exactly the issue. That's right.
That's what I want to understand. Okay, got it.
Well, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Okay, let me get back to my agenda here. I was looking at pictures. Okay, I guess we'll hear from any person that wishes to testify for this appeal.
Is that where we come in, or is that
That's where you come in, yes.
after we come in?
Yeah.
All right. So first of all, I want to thank all of you for taking your time to take a look at this. I'm sure these are issues that are important to us, but may not seem so important to others. Now, a couple things that were mentioned there that I would want to talk about is when you talk about angles and roof. So the patio structure that's attached to the right side of the house was drawn by a specific architect. Okay, it's been there since 2014, 15, and it's an outdoor patio space that has a very nice trade ceiling that comes up, and you can't see that on any of the drawings that were exhibited. When we found out about this variance, we asked the architect, say, hey, what can be done to get this to fit into variance? So she very quickly for us, because she probably should have checked this ahead of time, but we didn't find out about this until it went for a permit, and they said, hey, wait a minute. So we had her draw 3 different options from a roof pitch perspective to see how they would look, how they would change scale, how they would change the interior volume of the space. So we can talk about square footage. We can also talk about interior volume. The difference when we push that roof down, it changed the dimensions on the interior for the way that so the ceiling on the inside goes like this, then it goes up, and then it goes like this, and there's a fan that sits kind of right below in there. So when you brought that down to meet the variance, it significantly, in her opinion as the architect, impacted the feel of the space. Now, can you walk in there and not get hit in the head with the ceiling fan? Absolutely. Okay. Because it's like was mentioned by Brian, it's not a gigantic square footage space. The feel of it is created by its volume. And we have a room that is attached to the house. So that's why it was an issue on the right side that feels very similar to what we expect this to feel like. And we've had that for 5 years, and it's wonderful. Okay. From a viewing of the roof pitch, standing out the street, if you change that by a little bit, is the eye going to pick that up if you're not, into architecture, et cetera? I agree with whichever gentleman said, most people probably are not going to notice that. I think that's probably true. Now, from a different perspective, from standing in the backyard, it's pretty significant. So the pool has actually already been placed. It's full of water. That was a different permit that obviously went through the county and has been dug and placed and full of water. So now this is a separate permit, obviously, to build the pool house. When you stand in the vicinity of the pool, you walk around the pool, and the pool is placed just as it was in the drawing that was shown. You obviously see the patio room that has already been built, that is attached to the house. And then you turn the other direction, and you'll be facing towards the pool house. Okay. We believe from an aesthetic perspective, it's going to be quite obvious that they're different. Now, from a functional perspective, is it usable space if it had a flatter roof? Yeah, absolutely. I can't argue that, and I'm not trying to argue that. From a feel and a perspective, that's pretty much where we're coming from on this project, and kind of weighing the pros and the cons, and of asking for the variance versus, hey, just go ahead and change it and not spend the time to go through the variance. And after lots of conversations and and paying the architect to do additional drawings of what the other options that would not require a variance would look like, we all kind of sat back and put our pencils down and said, it's going to be so much better the way that we drew it. And, you know, given the scope of the project, our architect's advice to us was to ask for the variance for several reasons. The biggest reason is, does asking for that variance, does that affect anyone else other than us? You know, in the spirit of what we're asking to do. So as was pointed out, we're talking about a couple of feet there when you really get down to the nitty gritty. Is there a downside to anybody else by having it the way that architecturally it appears the best and from a functional perspective can be used the best? Again, I know what the space feels like because I have one. And we love that. And that's what we're trying to recreate. And when we hired the architect, that's what we asked her for. So there's a bathroom in here and there's some storage space in here and you know, a few other different features than the space that we currently have. But the volume of the room, the height of the tray ceiling, all of those things, we know exactly what it would feel like. And it's really, really good. Now, again, if you change it up a little bit, is it the end of the world? I don't know. But again, what's the alternative downside of approving something such as this? You know, we look out our back windows, I can see two buildings that are above 19 feet, you know, a party barn and a barn, literally right out my same back window. So this structure will actually be lower than them. It's not going to tower over anything. It is, as Brian said, shielded by the wood on one side. The owner in the back we've been working with because as it turns out, he actually has sewage lines and electrical lines that run through our side yard and were not placed in an appropriate variance, or not variance, easement, I'm sorry. That were not placed in appropriate easement. So once we started this project, we discovered that. And as we speak, Abercrombie is drawing a new easement because we need to move those sewer lines and electrical lines, which it's all ready to go. As soon as the easement is signed off on and filed, those are going to get moved over. So the fact that we've embarked on this journey, so to speak, we've cost myself and my rear neighbor a little bit of money on the front end, but on the back end, when we go to sell our properties, everything will be in order. And it would be at the upside of what we've done here. And we've had long conversations with him in regard because of that easement that needed to be done in regards to what we're doing, what we're building. And as you can see from that picture, he has a pool house right next to it. And he said, oh my God, you're going to love it. It's the best thing you're going to do. You know, can't wait to come over and visit once that's built. So I think from a who might this project harm, drawn as such, the one person is fully on board with what we're doing. And we actually have a signed promissory note for the extra utility work that's going to be done, which is going to be done at his expense. It's his utilities. So he was comfortable enough with it that he signed off on that. And he said, hey, yeah, you know, that's not a bill that I was looking for, but it's the right thing to do. And you know, you have the right to do on your property what you want to do. You know, as also was mentioned by Brian, you know, we could build a bigger structure closer to his property. We, I think, initially thought it had to be 10 feet off, so that's why we put it where it is. But, you know, to summarize most of what our appeal is, number one, does that extra few feet harm the neighborhood, the aesthetics, or anyone of our neighbors? And, you know, obviously no one else showed up tonight to argue with us, which is it's not surprising. We believe that the aesthetics are important and an enhancement to the neighborhood rather than a detraction. And because to us, it makes a difference to our architect. And you know, we spent the money to hire an architect. We wanted to do things right. And we want to, you know, we want this project obviously to be, you know, on the up and up and you know, have everything approved and do it the right way. And our professional advice was, you're not harming anybody by asking for this. And as an architect, it looks so much better this way. So the architect believes the aesthetics are better. We believe the interior feel of the structure will be better. And we feel that we're not harming anybody else in the process. And of consequence, would be added value to the neighborhood. Before we even started with filing for a permit or anything, we do have a small homeowners association here called Walker's Glen North, and we reached out to the governing board and the president of that homeowners association, and they came over and met in our backyard in a socially distant fashion, and we laid out the plans where they could review them and take a look at them long before this variance was even a thing, even in question. And they were all like, yeah, that's great. That's going to be super nice. Glad you're paying for it, not me. And they signed off on it because obviously, regardless of the variance component, we don't want to put something, in our yard that our neighbors are going to be upset about. So, that was the first step that we took. And to be honest with you, the builder who went to get the permit was surprised, and the architect, kind of wiped the egg off of her face and said, ugh, that should have been something that I should have known about and we could have discussed before we got to that point. In the end, we still had the same discussions regarding the pros and cons of changing pitch or changing structure. And we're very big into symmetry. There's a lot of design to the entire project, not just the pool house. The pool house is, say, 1/3 of the project. The fire pit that you saw in that picture, that's already there. The pool that you see in the picture, that's already there. The attached patio room is already there. So this is the last structure that fits in to the puzzle. And we didn't even realize that we were not within the code until all that stuff was done. And so it was a little bit of like one of those like kind of moments. And that's kind of where we are for now. I don't know if Laura, if you want to add anything, or I'm sure I could have said that better, but that's our plea, so to speak. First world problems, we know. I can't hear you.
You're muted.
There
That's
you go.
better.
There you go.
I have a few questions, if no one else.
Perfect.
Questions.
Please.
Listening to your conversation or I want to call it a speech, but don't take it that way. You're telling us you want us to accept the design as is because your architect didn't follow through and do her due diligence in understanding the code of what we had. And you want us, because your neighbor next door has a pool who actually, with a pool house and everything, who was actually on a bigger piece of property that all their stuff was built on, which was legal, for us to make a determination saying, you want us because this, and all your other facilities are attached to your house. Those are part of the house. This is a separate structure away from the house.
And that's what confused the architect. She said she didn't even think about it. She says, "Well, we did this once before." She didn't put that together.
And
yeah,
then you may have another problem with the architect. But you're wanting us to accept it because of the aesthetics and not because of the code.
Arguably, yes, the aesthetic. We're asking for the variance because the aesthetics will add value, we think, to the house.
And I'm saying that your architect could have kept a similar interior, let me finish, to keep it a similar feel to what the underside for your aesthetics could have been by modifying the trusses in a lot of different ways that she may not want to do, to come up with a truss system that would fit the top, to be lower at the top, the 2 feet, and still give you your interior space very close to what you have. That's what I'm hearing and trying to
Well,
get.
it was our understanding that she did attempt to do that, and the drawings that she sent us lowered the volume of the room. We could not achieve the same height of the room by lowering the trusses at all.
She drew us two other options that would fit within variance.
As an architect, I think that may be a wrong statement.
Okay, well, I just, it was our
You may
understanding,
have to have a
yeah.
custom-made trusses, but
These are custom made as they are.
well, if they're custom, there are ways of possibly modifying the trusses to lower them a little bit. But overall, you're asking for really about a 2 foot 4.5 inch variance, not that 9 feet that originally
Correct.
came in
Yes.
the write-off. So that's the direction you should have been coming at, is asking for that variance, not aesthetics, because
We're rookies. We don't understand.
I
what
know,
we're supposed to be
I
asking
know,
for.
but what I'm saying is because we represent the overall township
Sure.
and trying to assimilate the codes and what actually works and if it's a detriment to anything. So that's the way we have to look at it and look at the variance that you're actually looking for, which is
2.5 feet, yeah.
a 1/2 foot variance roughly.
So
But I do have an issue that you're wanting us to just deal with the aesthetics, and aesthetics it's a good thing, but yet there are other options to the solution. So that's all I wanted to say.
okay, I didn't catch your names, but I'm just
Jeff and Lori.
Jeff and Lori. Okay. So if I understand, the purpose of this outbuilding is bathrooms and storage. Is that correct?
And it's like a
And
sitting room inside.
Entertainment space.
It's like a covered patio, shaded space for the pool.
Okay. A shaded space for the pool, but it's got 4 walls, right?
But they're
Right.
one wall is completely open and there's large transoms on the other 2 walls, which matches exactly what we have in our current patio room.
Okay, because what I wasn't connecting is what I thought I heard was the utility of the building with this notion of feel and volume. If it's a bathroom and storage area,
That's toward, yeah.
That's just in the very
you
back.
stress those 2 points, but it's like, so maybe you could step back because it sounds like we're missing some key pieces of information around the use of that building and how it's
Sure.
laid out.
Yeah, so there's a bathroom toward the back, and on the same plane in the back, the one that's toward the woods, I guess. Oh, here, yes.
Yeah, I don't know if you've got it on that drawing. Yeah, you can. Yeah, there you can see it. You can see the rough walls there.
Okay, so the bathroom you can see is toward the woods, the front, yeah, right there. Then that's the storage space. And then in this inset, right, with that little inset that's right there, yes, that's a built-in, like a sink and
Countertop
and a
bar,
few
like
cabinets. And then we'll be putting an island with more cabinets in front of that.
right about where the pee and proposed and the pee
Yeah,
for pool
right
is.
there.
Yep.
And then we'll have some sort of seating space right there. But the portion that faces the pool is completely open to the pool. There's no 4th wall per se.
Right on that picture right there.
Yeah, so this is that picture right there is looking into the pool house.
Okay.
So you can
Okay,
see
so
the doors there.
enclosed is only the storage and the bathrooms.
Correct.
Right.
And the rest is more like a covered porch.
Correct.
Right. So in matching the space that we currently have, tucked up into that roof is again at the tray ceiling. It's a pretty good. It's like a 2 foot tray that goes up. And in our current attached patio room, we have an 8 foot fan in there, which is pretty awesome. And we've and we're going to put the same in this space as well, or we'd like to put the same in this space as well, which is what I suppose drives a little bit of the volume as you go up. Again,
Okay.
whether it's comfort, it's aesthetics, I suppose you could describe it in any number of ways.
Okay,
But when you are standing around the pool, you can see into both the existing covered patio and the proposed structure.
gotcha.
It's supposed to be mirrored, but
Okay.
Okay, any other questions of Jeff and Lori? Jennifer?
Nope.
Okay. All right, I guess then we will hear from any of those that are opposed to this project. I don't know if there's anybody waiting or not.
No, there's not.
There's not. Okay, then I guess we will close the hearing part and we'll go into deliberation. Ralph?
Okay. I've been looking at these drawings and from an architect's standpoint, and I know, and I'm looking at the building sections, and we're only talking about 2.5 feet, which is minuscule in the overall scheme of things. But looking at the tray ceilings and everything, that truss system can be lowered down to make it work into the system that they really want. But but that's up to everybody else. I just know it can be done. It's just that somebody has to spend some time really looking at it and figure it out. But I know it can be done because I just sketched up stuff, but that has nothing to do with anything because I can't tell them what and how to do it, because what's in front of us is just the variance. And so, I mean, we're only talking 2.5 feet.
Jack?
I'm okay with the variance.
Jennifer?
I think I'm okay with the variance too. I go through the factors and I don't think it's a huge need thing or anything like that. They can do all the reasonable return. It's not going to change the character of the neighborhood. It's not a big deviation from the zoning code. So I'm okay with it.
Okay. Byron?
I don't have anything to say.
Okay, I myself think that it's back of the buildings. It's not something that is obvious to show. Second is that the 2.5 feet, does not seem extraordinary. Let's put it that way. So I tend to support it because I like the aesthetics. That's one of my big things. So I would support it on that. So Ralph, you gonna make a proposal here?
No, I'm gonna put it on abeyance, have someone else make it.
Well, okay, so I'll propose that we accept the variance request as submitted. Is there a
I'll
second?
second.
Did you second?
Joanne?
Did Jennifer second? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Jennifer
Yes.
second, yes.
All right. Mr. Havel,
Yes.
Mr. Horvath,
Yes,
Mr. Wolf,
No,
Mr. Fowler,
Yes,
Ms. Harlow.
Yes.
Okay, I guess the variance passed. So enjoy your pool this summer.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We do appreciate the board's time and in looking at our concerns. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I guess the next thing is old business. Do we have any old business?
I don't
We'll
have,
let them clock off the Zoom.
Oh,
All right.
there.
Old business is just no.
I don't have anything.
Just got to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Oh, we got new business. I'm reading the agenda. Do we have a case in next month?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Okay, I guess we need to approve the minutes from the previous meeting, which would have been December,
January 4th.
or January 4th, I'm sorry.
I propose that we approve the minutes for the January 4th meeting as submitted.
I'll second.
Okay.
Mr. Fowler,
Yes.
Ms. Harlow,
Yes.
Mr. Havel,
Yes.
Mr. Horvath,
Yes.
Mr. Wolf.
I'm gonna have to abstain because I logged in too late and I didn't vote on it.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay, I guess entertain a motion to adjourn.
second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 So
No, so
Oh.
no meeting next month, but potentially in April, you think?
I will. I'll double check when I get to the office. Luann, you don't have anything right now from me yet.
I don't know if anything was filed this
There
afternoon.
was nothing on my desk when I left today, and today would have been the deadline. So as usual, something came in very late in the day, then there's a possible meeting next month. But right now, I don't think that there is.
I'll email you guys either way. You want me to?
Hmm.
Send you an email either way?
Yes, please.
Yes,
Okay.
that'd be great.
Oops.
okie dokie.
Let's go shovel snow.
Right?
Yeah, shovel snow, that's
Yeah,
right.
Talking from the guy from down south.
Exactly, look who's talking.
Oh, yeah, it was wide open. All right, have a good evening, folks. Bye-bye.
Take care, Jack.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.